Good evening, esteemed viewers. You're welcome to yet another episode on your favorite TV, Fine TV Gambia. You're welcome to our program, dubbed Issues on Educational Development. I'm your host, Raki Jallo. This program comes to you every Tuesday, and it discusses issues on educational advancement and issues that are surrounding the educational development of the country, the Gambia. Today, we have a very important personnel. He is going to introduce himself, Mr. Buso. Good evening to you and welcome to our platform. I
Yeah,
believe this is your first time to appear on our platform. Um,
verily, yes. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Rakijalo. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, my name is BAbucarr EA Buso, uh, born and bred at Kabakoto village
yeah, go
in
on.
Oponyomi district, Northbank region. It's also where I did my lower basic school. Then it was primary school.
Okay.
Now basic cycle school. Then I moved to Kircherno Umar Upper Basic School.
Okay.
Now it is also Kircherno Umar Upper and Senior Secondary School. Then I moved to SL Senior Secondary School. Where I did my senior secondary school. Then from senior school, I went to the college.
Okay.
It's where I did my PTC between 2007 to 2010. Then in 2013, after being confirmed, I had to leave Kuntaya and pursue my higher education on HTC
Mm,
and a major in English language.
okay. You are a teacher, right?
Yes, I'm a teacher by profession,
Okay.
certified teacher for that matter.
Okay. You're currently in the system or you're on leave?
Yeah, I'm on study leave from Kabakoto back in 2017-18 academic year.
Okay.
And I'm pursuing my degree at the University of the Gambia and majoring in English language
Okay.
and minoring in history.
Okay. What courses or what subjects rather are you teaching right now?
Yeah, currently, I only teach based on pleasures and based on part-time issues.
Okay.
Yeah, I teach English language and literature.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Pertaining to English language, what method do you use in teaching? What's your methodology?
Yeah, my methodology of teaching English language in my lesson plan, for instance, I always, employ the SQ3Rs.
Okay.
So SQ3Rs where you have correction, survey, correctioning,
Mm-hmm.
review, recall, and reflect.
Okay.
If you go to the fourth one, but then I mean the survey,
Mm-hmm.
the correctioning, the
Okay.
review,
Okay.
the recall, and
Mm-hmm.
the reflect.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's correct.
that's SQ3R.
Good. That's a good development. When teaching English language, I believe you find certain students in your class that find it hard to understand you, right?
Very well.
So how do you deal with those kind of students?
Yeah, just to break words into the smallest units.
Mm-hmm.
Words can be very, very big. In my method of teaching, I always have challenges with students who always feel that the words that are there are big. My duty as a teacher, there is always an obstacle
Mm-hmm.
between the teacher or between the learner and the learning subject
Okay.
or the learning area. So as a teacher, my duty is to break that cycle, that blockage. Some people will call it the learning difficulty,
Yeah.
others will call it blockage in learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I break that barrier by trying to simplify teaching using this simple method
Yeah.
or the appropriate method at a particular point in time, depending on whom I'm dealing.
Mm-hmm. So, um, between English language and literature, we cannot break them apart from each other.
Okay.
English language and literature. Literature is part of English language. But which of the two are you most comfortable with teaching?
Yeah, in my areas of specialization, I think I teach a lot of subjects because I am a major in English language at HTC, which constitute English language and literature.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach both of them adequately and I teach them appropriately at the time I am assigned.
Okay.
A case in point is in Kabakoro when I was posted there, I was both the English language and literature teacher
Mm-hmm.
in the school,
Okay.
where I headed the English department. And so strange that I was the only one in the department. So I
Okay.
had to teach both English language and literature.
Okay.
That shows how comfortable I am in taking both
In
areas.
both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in teaching English language or in teaching literature, um, when the students find it hard to understand you, where do you think the problem is? Like, is it their lack of reading or their incapability of understanding you or your, I don't just know, but where will you base it on if
Yeah.
the students don't get what you're teaching?
Yeah, learners have different things that they face
Mm-hmm.
in learning that impede their understanding. One thing that learners face is interest, lack of interest. Or if you are a teacher, you have to understand that there is a particular barrier between you and the learners in the interest you want them to do or what you want them to learn. You always have a goal that you attain or you want to attain. Your learners also will need to know the goal that you want to attain by you trying to tell them this is the goal.
Yeah.
It has to occur in your methodology of teaching, your pedagogy.
Okay.
Yeah, when learners face difficulties, I understand that it is nature that learners have to be in different level. Obviously, when you introduce a particular lesson, learners from the onset will understand what you want to drive at.
Okay.
There are learners that will still would not understand.
Yeah.
It depends on your elaboration. So as a teacher, you need to use psychological, uh, knowledge or skills
Yeah, and
to
experience.
identify, to discover
Yeah.
the difficulties that your learners face, and then how you're going to, cope those difficulties to enable them attain what is attainable in the lesson. That's the goal.
Okay. So, Mr. Buso, as a seasoned teacher and a literature teacher for that matter, what is your take about the foreign books that you use in the school system?
Yeah, the foreign books that have been used in the literature system or in the teaching
In teaching
in
literature?
teaching literature in English. For me, I understand that literature is diverse and people need to learn from different cultures. Those books that are foreign are also important for the children or the learners to learn, but also the importance of the literature of our writers or our native writers. You call them African. Literature is divided into two
Yes.
chambers. You have the African literature
And the
and then the
non-African.
non-African literature. So it is important to teach children all literatures based on what you want them to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, the philosophy that you want them to take, because teaching has to do with the philosophy. Every educational system has to be related or has to be based on the philosophy of the nation. So the philosophy of that nation that is binding the curriculum, for instance, has to indicate that the learners need to learn in diverse forms. So, but also we have to cherish what we have, that is the literature that our people write should be inculcated in the syllabus so that learners will interact with them. You understand? Because when they interact with the literature that our people learn or write, then that will also try to teach them their society, their environment, because literature mirrors the society.
Yeah, it does.
So if writers used a particular society or a particular story that mirrors a particular society, it is very important for the learners who are to be taught to also read those materials so that they will be exposed in that particular society.
Okay.
Yeah, but as you said, the problem that you asked with your former question, then the problem is the reading culture now.
Yeah.
The reading culture is dying. Children are losing interest. It also,
Reflects.
boils
Yeah.
down to the interest
Yeah,
I
it
was trying to
reflects.
talk about.
So, talking about literature and books, Mr. Buso, are you venturing into writing, or are you a writer, or have you written any material?
Yes, I am a writer. I would not call myself an aspiring writer. Hence, I have written a lot of materials that are fit for publications.
Okay.
And some of them I sent. Example is the play I wrote. Is under peer review currently. Yeah, its title is "Breaking the Silence Against Rape in the Gambia: The Culture of Silence."
Okay.
Yeah, if you understand that rape is a very serious crime,
Yeah.
why should people conceal the crime now? So concealment of crime concealment of rape or any crime
Yeah.
is against the law of the land. So to expose the crime, I ventured into writing. Obviously, I was pressed to write that particular play.
Okay.
That's why it also, hung that long. Yeah, I also write in poetry. I wrote a lot of poems when I, feel that I need to share my feelings, my ideas, and so on. Then I venture into writing.
So.
Obviously, I write every night, every time.
Okay.
So yes, I write every time.
That's good. That's a good development. What has been your experience like in the education system?
Yeah, my
In general
experience
terms.
is bittersweet. You look at it at one angle, you will see that I enjoy teaching in different different areas of where I am. My services is required. But if you look at my experience, also you understand that my experience is just bittersweet. The sweet part of it is, whenever I teach, the effects of the teaching reflects on the learners that I teach, and I always take that as a particular advantage. Before I came to this platform, I just met one of my students. That also boosted my morale. Because she explained that I taught her at Siranungu. I was posted. My first posting was in Kuntaya Basic Cycle School. Then I was doing my teaching practice. When I was done with my teaching practice, I was retained there. And I did 3 years teaching after my qualification. Then I went to the college back in 2013 to attend my ATC. After attending my ATC at graduation, I was posted to Sitanungo. But I did my teaching practice at SL Senior Secondary School. That is where I taught geography. I taught different subjects in my life because I enjoy teaching certain areas based on the diversity of the personality I am. I teach different areas.
Now, Mr. Buso, you have experience in teaching in provincial Gambia.
So,
comparing provincial Gambia to where you are now, what do you think is the provincial Gambia teachers lacking that is available here?
yeah, mostly the teachers, we don't have much difference that we have. If you consider the provincial Gambian teachers and also those who are teaching here, the difference is maybe the settings are the difference. But you understand that if you are teaching in the lower basic, if you are teaching in the rural areas, you are likely to be overloaded with so much loads that you may not be that overloaded if you are teaching in the in the town. But then what you face in the classroom is the same thing. Because when you teach literature, you will be, very much dispirited to face challenges that will range from material, production and so on. Material, appropriate materials that you are to use will not be provided for you. No matter how much you try, you will always have difficulties with materials. So materials, you understand, even if you are teaching here, you face those difficulties. But then the load in the rural,
the workload,
yes, in the rural is different from the load in the urban. In the urban, and the efficiency of a particular teacher depends on how much he is loaded.
How much you're loaded.
Yes,
you're right about that. So, as a young teacher, I know you might be facing certain challenges in your teaching career. Can you tell us some of them?
Yeah, most of the challenges that I face is my size before my delivery. Yeah, I am a small teacher. When I enter the classroom, people judge me, will want to judge me by my size,
by your appearance,
by my appearance, perhaps. But when I come into delivery, I conquer challenges because I live to conquer challenges. Yeah, I was grown up, or I was brought up in a particular setting where we challenge the challengeable. So these challenges, if you are a teacher, for instance, and you run away from the challenges that you are supposed to face or you face in the classroom, you can run away from the challenges. Like we say, you can run away from challenges, but you cannot run away from the consequences of dodging away from those challenges. So they still haunt you back. So the challenges that learners face in classroom are supposed to be the challenges that teachers should conquer for learners to get easy. So there is another way. Some people will say, knowledge is there, go and pick it. I say, knowledge is there, let's go to pick it. I go with them. I go with my learners to where the knowledge is.
Yeah, you lead them.
I lead them.
All right. That's a good point. Mr. Buso, concerning issues of rural comparison, when we want to draw a comparison between the rural teacher and the urban teacher, there are challenges that the rural teachers face, but there are as well challenges that the urban teachers face. Now, what motivations will you give to teachers that shy away from going to rural teaching? What motivation will you give them?
Actually, there is something.
You have for them?
Yeah, very well. There is something that is different between the treatment that maybe the urban teachers faced here that the rural teachers will not face. You understand? With the teaching in the rural areas, most of the time when you go there, there is abandoned land.
Yeah.
Land is a challenge here. You understand? People scramble for living. In fact, scramble for renting where they rent. You understand? They face with a high cost of living. So maybe when you are posted in the rural areas, you will not have faced that, which will attack your resources. You know, the amount of resources you are able to retain at the end of the month depends on how much you are able to save.
To save,
Yeah, but if you spend all that you have and you are not able to save anything, which is very possible in a particular rural setting.
So.
Obviously, one of my friends was posted to one of the villages. Uh, Actually, he told me there was nothing that he spent from his salary. So, it's different from the one who will spend everything that he has from his salary.
Hand to mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the rural people are always sociable. They are also sociable, just like the town people. In fact, there is no much difference between, the treatments that
we have here
that we have and
compared to the ones that
exactly,
they
because the Gambians are nice people. They treat you with
So,
humanity.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Buso, let's talk about the current happenings that are in the education sector at the present time. Now, how do you view the recent sit-down strike?
Yeah.
What's your viewpoint?
The strike came as a result of certain lack of, fulfillment of a duty.
Yeah.
You understand? The teachers sat down because they feel their word was not given to them. So I just understand that the strike is in twofold. It started earlier than the GTU CCU announced it. You understand? According to my findings, I realized that there was a task force that declared a strike before the GTU wrote their memo to instruct everyone to go within Region 1 and 2 to go into strike. First, it was Region 1.
Yeah.
Later, every teacher was instructed by the union to join in the strike in solidarity to those who were facing the challenges.
So.
I understand that the strike is declared ended by the GTU, but it is still on in one point or the other in the regions. Because some of the information I receive is that about 155 teachers are still facing the same problem, that emanated as a result of the strike, or that caused the sit-down strike.
Yeah.
So you will understand that sit-down strike is not good for our nation.
Yeah.
But then it is an industrial action to tell the authorities that they are supposed to do their function, their duties, in case they fail to do their duties. But I also implore on the authorities not to wait on strikes only to do their functions.
Yeah.
This is what you call malfunction.
Yeah.
So you are supposed to do your duty or your responsibility before
it
you
escalates.
It escalate. If
Yeah.
you go out of power, children will lose lessons. Teachers, in fact, would not want to go into strike. I think I heard the GTU CCU Secretary General said very clearly that it was very unfortunate, and that was the order of the correction, the other way of the correction. How is it unfortunate? Teachers are parents. When they go into strike, they wouldn't like it, and this was what occurred. The repercussion is always the other way around.
Yeah, it's
So
always talking about repercussion. Do you think this is going to affect the performance of the students?
obviously, it is going to affect the performance of the students. When strike are affected, there are a lot of loss of contact hours
So.
between the teacher and the child in the classroom, or the children who are supposed to go to school. So if students or learners, let me use it in a general term,
Yes.
if learners lose a lot of contact hours, it is not good for their preparation for the examinations. In fact, we are not only learning for examination.
Yeah.
So what is supposed to be covered, if there is any impediment, will going to be affected.
Sure.
Yeah, the time is going to be strained, and therefore, when the time is affected, then coverage will be affected.
So, shifting a little bit, but still on the same problems that are affecting the education system presently. There is a 350 million saga that's ongoing about WAEC. It's said that the Gambia might miss WAEC exams if it is not settled. There are areas that need to be settled.
Exactly.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, my take on this is we are about to face a very difficult time, because if this claim is right, which is because it is from the authorities, it is from the secretary, permanent secretary mandate. He said it, and we understand that the amount is very huge, about 350 million. It's not a
350
small money in our Gambian currency.
No.
So my question was, in fact, in mind, I did not even utter it. How much have they paid and
Yeah.
how much have they left?
Yeah.
If it is arrears, if it is 11 million US dollars, which is amounting to that amount 350
million
in our dollars, is how much is paid and how much
And how much are we yet to pay?
are we yet to pay. That's what I mean. I said how much have they paid.
Yes.
In fact, when did the arrears started? So the ministry should ensure that this money is paid so that the children will not miss. There is one thing that we are trying to compromise is standard. When we fail to test our children, we are failing to adhere to the strict rules of standard. So we are trying to make sure that standards goes down. And one thing we should uphold as a nation is to make sure that the standard is always lifted. It does not go down. Because one of my lecturers, may God be pleased with him, Mohammed Bari, used to tell me that when standard goes down, it's very difficult to uplift it. He gave an example to his own country, that is Sierra Leone. So standard went down there. No, it is not, in fact, only Sierra Leone that standard is threatening to go down, or standard went down. But when standard goes down, you will lose everything that we are trying to yearn for. Yeah, whenever we are trying to talk about education in the Gambia, the first thing that we look at is the quality. But if standard goes down, then where is the quality that we are trying to
It will
yearn
be
for?
lacking.
Very well.
Yeah. So what message do you have for the authorities concerning these unfortunate issues that we have that are surrounding our education sector?
Yeah, I believe the communication, the dialogue, is lacking so much because we have a lot of fractions now. If we have a lot of fractions, which is as a result of, the weakness from the top, then there is always anarchy somewhere.
Yeah.
You understand? So there shouldn't be any fraction anywhere. There should be collaboration in terms of service delivery. You understand? I read one, statement from Aristotle that says there is no one, or in fact, what we want to learn on education is the happiness.
Yeah.
So if we are indulged in the educational system, and it is not happiness that we derive from it, then the virtue is lost. So virtue is what we have between two extremes. And you realize that these teachers who are sitting down or who formed the task force of the COVID-19 allowances, so the ministry is telling us that COVID-19, crippled down the ministry to some extent. We will agree because COVID-19 stripped down, the muscles of some financial agencies in this world.
Yeah.
So we understand that if we face these difficulties, they should strategize. They should have paid, if that was the promise, that if the teachers were able to go for Saturday classes and cover certain hours, this amount of money should be paid to them.
Yeah.
That money should have been paid, which should not have warranted this brouhaha everywhere.
Yeah.
And in fact, the reaction of the teachers is right. The GTU should stand. The GTU should have pranks and it should have clowns.
Yeah.
You understand? Which it tried to demonstrate. But if that number of teachers are still lagging behind, whose problems are not yet solved, you understand that even the mission school have joined, this strike, in recent. Obviously, this morning we received information that for some mission teachers, they received their money.
So.
In fact, I asked, the PRO of the task force for COVID-19. He said that about 55 teachers are still affected.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, this is a huge number. The teachers in union should understand that if one teacher is affected, all the teachers are supposed to be affected. Yeah, because we cannot succeed in
if there is no unity.
If there is no unity. Yeah. So, if one is affected, all should be affected. So this is the case, and it's very unfortunate that we are facing this. And then the ministry, to them, they are supposed to, or the authorities, let me say, in general, are supposed to be cautious about this. There shouldn't be any repetition of such nature that will threaten the quality education that we are yearning for.
Yeah.
So I think this is very unfortunate, and it will be avoided by them.
Yeah, it will be. What are the areas that impress you more in education? Because, in every mishap that you see, there might be good things that you might admire in it. So what are the things that impress you most in the education department?
Yeah, in the educational department, we don't have much expressions in terms of what pleases us, because as a teacher I ventured into, in fact, as a teacher who is on study leave, I have been to the ministry most recently. You understand? And I was not treated like someone who has served for 10 or 12 years. You understand? I only wanted my pay slip, and it was not even given to me. The
Okay.
man I met treated me so badly. In fact, I did not want to go out, without trying to address him. But I had to endure, because I was supposed to provide my study leave letter
Okay.
that he wanted in original,
Okay.
which I also left somewhere. You cannot be possessing it everywhere because it is a document. You understand? But he had printed my pay slip somewhere. He wanted me to produce the same, which I could not do at a particular point in time. I wanted my payslip. It was urgent,
Yeah.
but he made me to go down as a teacher, going down outside, paying extra money, you understand, only to photocopy and print out. In the end, he wasted my time because he could have saved my time.
Yeah.
So I think attitude also is something that is supposed to be inculcated into people's,
So,
especially people who are working in public offices.
so the
So
approach is important.
to come to your question about impression, obviously there is nothing that you can lose in teaching. When you teach, you meet your students everywhere. I know some of them are listening, others will be viewing,
Yeah.
others will be watching. So wherever you go, you save your integrity. If you teach them well,
Yeah.
then you enjoy the reward.
Yeah.
They will praise you, they will pray for you, and I believe that those prayers will change a lot of things in your life.
Yeah.
That is the reward I enjoy in teaching.
So
Yes.
now, in this day and time, we have a lot of rats. We call them rats, runaway teachers.
Yes.
Yes. So, what do you think is a contributing factor to that?
Yeah.
That phenomenon that we have a lot of rats in the system.
Exactly. I think I will put it in two folds. One is motivation, the other one is management. You understand? When I was in the system, in fact, I have received a lot of, forces that could have, warranted me to leave teaching.
So,
But I am too strong to abdicate.
okay.
I always keep following. But I believe, the management also should be improved, especially with the management strategies.
Yeah.
Every school has a mission and vision statement and the value cause of every school.
So,
But you only have them outside painted. Just like one of my boss used to say, outside painted, inside rotten.
yeah.
A grave is like that. So if the school is painted outside, but it's not what is reflecting outside in glittering color, is what exists inside,
Inside.
then you will question the leadership.
Yeah.
So we understand that the omnipotent view of manager is always stating that when a particular institution fails, the manager is in correction. So the management also, the way they treat people who work under them, because sometimes when you talk about runaway, you are talking about retainment.
Yeah.
So when you hire particular people, you train them, you should be able to retain them.
So,
What retains them there is the motivation.
Sure.
If the motivation is not there, which is key and which is lacking in many of the institutions that you go to. In fact, in the teaching field, we are not motivated. This is a clear manifestation is the strike.
sure.
So if the teachers were well motivated, in fact, it is not what they own that is taken from them, but more is given to them, then the teachers would have enjoyed,
Yeah.
to stay. Most of the people who run away, they will tell you that we are looking for greener pasture.
Sure.
So the teaching field should be green, so that they don't
Look for greener pastures
look for
outside the teaching
exactly,
domain, yeah.
exactly. That will keep them there.
Yeah, right. So, in your viewpoint, what do you think are the motivational factors that the authorities should put in place to keep the teachers in the system?
Yeah, when you talk about the motivational factors, it is diverse. You can pay their allowances on time. Allowances are always delayed in the teaching field. In fact, the taxation is very high. You understand what I mean? So when I receive my longevity, I understand that there was no increment that was that I got as someone who, in fact, has reached longevity.
Yeah.
I hardly believe. In fact, I went to the ministry back to claim for my longevity. On the whole, it was paid. So when my longevity was paid, in taxation, it was deducted
So.
out from the payment. Where is the payment now? Where is the increment? If you pay me and deduct me, where is the increment
It
now? It's
doesn't
plus
reflect.
1 minus 1.
Yeah.
That is 0. So motivation is very key.
Yeah.
When you motivate people, do not try to fool them. Try to give them what they own. You understand?
Yeah.
Increase their work. Reduce the taxation. Then the living condition is very, very high. Price are escalating every now and then. Teachers, of course, are all responsible. Most of them are responsible. Even when I was not married, they will tell you that you are not married and you are not responsible. When I was qualified as a teacher, the first time, I took responsibility.
So.
You cannot dodge away from the responsibility. Otherwise, I said you cannot dodge away from the consequences.
Yeah.
So you understand that the motivation is very key and which is very much lacking.
Yeah.
Obviously, those teachers who are posted in the rural areas definitely face certain conditions that are horrible, including their their shelter,
Their accommodation.
accommodation.
Yeah.
Accommodation is what you can put. When we were in Sitaronku, for instance, we understand that it was difficult for the school to claim a particular place where teachers' quarters will be built.
Okay.
We were all staying in the village, and we hardly get the opportunity to get houses where we are accommodated. Even though we were all accommodated, but we should be at least accommodated in the best form.
Yeah.
So if you go to certain rural areas, even though the ministry is doing very well with the MRC Holland Foundation, you understand that they build and rehabilitate a lot of schools in the rural areas, especially, including the urban areas. And they are doing very well in trying to support, or to cater for some teachers who are there, so that the societies that they are serving, or the communities they are serving, they are well, sheltered there. But you understand that it is very difficult with them, and that can motivate them very well. If you accommodate them well, it motivates them. In fact, there is one statement that talks about it. In Shakespeare's own version, you understand. If you read the As You Like It, you'll understand that Frederick is blaming the brother for not keeping him well. In fact, he said he is not kept, because keeping you in the house and without providing you food, then is tantamount to not keeping.
Not being kept.
Yeah, not being kept.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Mr. Buso, imagine you were now the Minister of Education. What will be your focus area in improving the standards of education, like in general terms?
Yeah, that's a huge position.
What will be your focus?
Yeah, if I were the Minister of Education, I would have strategized. You understand? We have to go back to planning.
Yeah.
Planning is where we get everything wrong. So if you get anything wrong in planning, then you have to go back to square one and replan again.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, back to the drawing board. We understand that even with the curriculum, even though the curriculum is going through review, but it cannot be through review incommunicado.
Yeah.
It has to go out. People should know what is being reviewed. You understand what I mean? You go to the schools, you don't meet you don't get materials that are very much feasible for teaching and learning. Materials are there. Obviously, those who are keeping them are not keeping them well in some aspect. But then you will understand that also they are scarce in the school system. So you have to provide, the infrastructure. If the infrastructure is there already, then you also need to at least train those people who are eloquent. You understand what I mean? You have to train the best people, employ them.
Yeah.
Not only employ them, but also retain them.
So,
You understand?
and in retaining them, there has to be motivation.
Exactly. There must be motivation.
Yeah.
But that motivation is also lacking, because whenever we talk about being motivated, the ministry come with excuses of financial constraints. So if anyone is financially constrained, because the person will not be able to motivate others.
There wouldn't be much that can be done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they have to try to get a lot of funds.
Yeah.
If they have funds, let them utilize the fund where it is necessary. I think that will help the system to progress.
Yeah, you're right. So what is your final remarks to the viewers?
Yeah, only to express my happiness, my delight, for the identification. I am very much elated and delighted. Yeah, and I also understand that when I was giving you the experience at Sitanunku, I also have a story that
Yeah.
could be had maybe another time when we meet as the
Okay.
Hakalang.
All right.
So when I write about the Hakalang, many people will tell me that I am trying to be political.
Sure.
But that was my experience. I am not political in any way, but then I believe that one time it will be a complete story
Sure.
and people will enjoy reading it.
Yeah.
I also learned through it very well. So I just, enjoy and try to thank you
Yeah.
for the recognition, for being the third
It's a
person
pleasure.
to come here.
Yeah, on the episode. It's been a pleasure having you, Mr. Buso, and we indeed thank you very much for the invitation on short notice. Viewers, that's all that we had in today's episode. Till we come your way next Tuesday, I've been your host, Raki Jallo, and it's a goodbye from me.